The coronavirus outbreak has upended commercial aviation world over, with consequences that are yet to be realized. The airline trade body IATA anticipates that the world's air carriers will see this year's revenue drop by more than a half, and as of March 11th, airlines on the African continent had lost around $4.4 billion in revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A number of industry watchers predict that it will be years before air travel returns to the 2019 levels. For Uganda Airlines, the lockdown and eventual closure of the airspace to passenger travels called for shelving of many plans.
We had been operating 8 routes across the network. We had other plans to open an additional 10 routes. Specifically, during this period by now, we would have opened the route to Kinshasa. We would have opened Johannesburg to South Africa. We would have gone further south to connect maybe Harare and Lusaka, and then looked through to connect Addis and many other routes. So those plans obviously were halted. So what we are doing now is working behind the scenes to finish the permissions that we require across all these networks. And we are going globally across all the routes where we want to fly to, including the ones for long haul like London, Dubai. In fact, we have already secured the permissions to fly to Dubai.
The airline CEO Conwell Muleya, however, is optimistic that they will steer steadily through this global crisis.
The opening of the skies will be gradual. Different countries obviously have been impacted differently in terms of the threat of this disease to the entire population. And international travel has the associated risk of reinfection. So because of that, many countries will be very cautious about the timing of the opening up of the skies. So that is a given. That's one risk that we can see. The second one is really the individual customers. After the skies are open, how many people will be willing to travel? Again, it's a number that cannot be predicted, because what we have seen has never happened in our lifetime. It really happened centuries ago. And we are in new territory now, and we don't know what passenger behavior is going to be. What we are confident as an airline is the fact that internally we have understood what is required in terms of protecting the public and the passengers. It is necessarily not going to be a cheap in terms of the industry, because several expenses have come up in the industry. So the whole travel chain will have to be reassessed from a cost point of view and a revenue point of view as well. So those are the elements that we are discussing right now, and I believe with dedication and commitment we'll get it right.
It has been argued that the COVID-19 pandemic has created both hurdles and opportunities in the aviation sector. Currently, there is an uptick in global air cargo transportation, and some airlines have had to reconfigure passenger aircraft to transport cargo. Muleya hints on Uganda Airlines' plans with regards cargo transportation.
And one of the key features that has happened in recent years is that there are companies that have come up specifically to provide kits which allow you to transport cargo on the seats of the aircraft. So they are called seat packs. So we already had looked at that structure, which required those to be certified with our civil aviation authorities. And the intention had always been that we have seat packs not only for our regional aircraft, but also for the A330s that are coming. The issue that we are looking at now, the demand for cargo that is there, is cargo that requires long-haul operations. There has been many discussions with the government regarding where the economy is going, and the economy is going into agriculture and agro-processing. I think last year, one of the positive things that happened in this country was that the whole Eurozone, the EU, came to do an audit on Uganda's products, and they certified Uganda to export to the EU. So those plans to deploy cargo capacity have also been there. We have been involved in those discussions, and we have plans obviously to upgrade as and when the time allows.
He adds that the time is now for countries on the African continent to consider actualizing available agreements in favor of open skies.
Specifically, when you talk of SATAM, which was the opening of all the Africa routes, it remains a key goal because it makes sense across Africa to have more routes opened up so that trade can flourish. And right now, as you can see, most of the markets are closed in Europe. So there are no flowers leaving here to go to Europe. The food that we have cannot be exported because those markets are closed. There could be some markets across Africa where we can exchange those goods. So it does make sense.
Currently, Uganda Airlines operates a fleet of 4 Sierra General jetliners, and the airline is expected to take delivery of 2 A330-800 neo jets from Airbus. The European plane manufacturer had indicated in an email to the press that they had cut down on average monthly aircraft production rates due to the COVID-19 outbreak. However, Muleya says delivery of Uganda's 2 aircraft remains on schedule.
So we have received the same communication. But additionally, as a customer, there is specific communication they send to us. And what they've said to us is that their commitments to us are on schedule. They don't expect that there will be a delay in the delivery of the aircraft reserved for Uganda Airlines. Everything stays on course as far as the manufacturing process is concerned. For us specifically here, we've been working with the shareholders, which is the Minister of Transport and Minister of Finance, and the government had allocated the monies required to pay for these aircraft in the budget.
Worldwide, an estimated 8,500 aircraft are sitting in storage, and governments are promising bailouts to keep the industry afloat.
The important thing right now for all airlines, including Uganda Airlines, is to preserve its liquidity or cash resources. Fortunately for us, we are in the startup phase where we are still being capitalized by the shareholders, and we are starting to open routes. Basically, we still have that capital which will allow us to restart. What has happened now across the industry is that all airlines will essentially be starting again. So we are basically in the same position. So everyone, including our neighbors in this, will be startups, airlines as of now, looking at a new changed future, which gives us probably one of the best chances to define Uganda Airlines as this new aviation horizon.
Ssenono, UBC Business.